Political party video, the political party that I had chosen was the modern Whig Party. Now, when it comes to the background of the modern Whig Party, the chair of the party is Dale Ritchie. But when it comes to the U.S. House leader, the U.S. Senate leader, the chair of Governors Association, there are none because it is a pretty small. It doesn't have that much influence nationwide. It is a smaller political party. The founders of it was started by a guy named Mike Lebowitz. He was a lawyer and a veteran in the past, and him alongside with a lot of other veterans didn't like how the political system in the U.S. was working, and so they decided to create a whole new party. It wasn't really preceded by anything, but it did take a lot of influence on the old Whig Party back in the 1800s, who made it their mission to make sure all the people were heard. The motto of the modern Whig Party is courage, common sense, and country. And now, when it comes to the mission statement, there are a lot of mission statements that they have. I'm going to just do a quick run through of each one. So the first one is support the Constitution as the basis for the rule of law in this country. Second, stand behind all the liberties guaranteed to us in the Constitution and its amendments. Third, stand for a balance between government's responsibilities of sound economics, protecting the environment, and promoting the general welfare of all citizens. The fourth, stand for electing honest and humble public servants who serve all of the people. The fifth, stand for solving problems today rather than kicking the can down the road for political expediency. The sixth, stand for using the best answer reason can provide to solve a problem rather than using the only answer a given ideology allows. The seventh one's going to be stand for preserving our environment. The eighth, stand for supporting the health, safety, and general welfare of all our citizens. The ninth, stand for respecting and serving all Americans, not just those with the same viewpoints. 10, stand for civility, flexibility, and compromise in negotiating our way through difficult problems with many points of view. Then we have stand for equal treatment of all groups under the law, stand for small government that is responsive to the people and serves them rather than seeks to pick away at liberty and income, stand for an end to verbal intimidation and physical violence to silence the political views of others. They stand for capitalism and free market economies, stand for meritocracy, stand with the American people rather than for or against an ideology, a party, or a particular person. They stand behind the right of the voter to choose the candidate that will best represent their interests. And finally, stand for independent and critical thinking and solving problems. When it comes to the affiliations, they are a smaller party, but they do have some influence in all 50 states, Guam, Puerto Rico, and the American Samoa. And their colors are red, white, and blue, with their symbol being an owl. The founding fathers, when it comes to that, I did give a brief discussion on that. It was founded by Mike Lebowitz, who was a Washington, D.C. attorney, and him, along with a lot of other soldiers, they didn't like the way that certain political parties were leaning too hard during one side or the other, and they weren't coming up with compromises, so he made sure to fix that with the modern Whig Party. And now when it comes to the 20th century history, there isn't much to talk about the 20th century history because they were founded in about 2008. So they are relatively new. When it comes to the electoral history of who ran, they had a man named Ken Belcher who won Constable of Lee County, Alabama. Gene L. Baldessari ran for New Jersey State Assembly. Jake Van ran for U.S. Congress in Virginia. Same with Kenny Golden, who ran for U.S. Congress in Virginia. And then Lele Mussolini, who went for state representative. And all of those, they did lose, but they did have a notable impact. And a lot of news coverage were covering the modern Whig Party and talking about their new standings and their platforms and everything. And then we have J. Brendan Galligan, member of Westfield Board of Education. He ended up winning that position. Chuck Knudsen, he was a member of City Council in Pecos City, Texas. And then Matthew Hepner, he was also a member of City Council in Washington. And now for the opposite side, mostly they try to help out with the local communities, but they also run for state representation. They don't really care one way or the other, just trying to make sure that whatever position that they run for, they do their best in that field. For the recent victories, there are two recent victories. One by a man named Heshi Bolshows in Pennsylvania, and he won re-election as an election judge. And then Matthew Hepner in Washington State, who won his race for city council. And now this is more about the focus on the ideology and the ideas and the political positions of the party. When it comes to economics, they focus a lot on. They have an emphasis on educational spending, funding for research universities and corporations to support new research and development, and creating safety nets to support entrepreneurship. On the social side of things, they like developing a system in which parents receive a set amount of paternal leave to help with raising of children, dedicate government spending toward parent-teaching programs to help with the development of kids, invest billions in preschool programs to make sure children receive the proper nurture environment to grow. Now something different, environmental. They want to invest in alternative means of renewable energy to wean off America's dependence on fossil fuels, create a combined effort between a private and public groups, institute new forms of renewable energy when developing infrastructure. Now, natural defense. The Whigs believe we should be a trusted friend to those who wish us well and an implacable enemy to those who wish us harm. Second, first priority is the defense of the nation, and there should be strong funding in this. And then finally, compensation and programs to help veterans. Now, when it comes to dealing with international politics, they believe that moving away from fossil fuels to no longer support regimes, that's the main focus of theirs, and that Whigs believe we should be a trusted friend to those, just like previously, to those who wish us well, and an applicable enemy to those who wish us harm. For the student wing and the youth wing, they're not well known, so a lot of universities and colleges don't have a lot of groups with just the modern Whig party. And now it comes to the thing, what I thought about the political party. And the thing that I like the most about it is that fact that the modern Whig party seems to lean toward compromise, not leaning too far to the left or to the right on the political spectrum. And they tend to may find a solution that will best work for all people, not just one side or the other. So overall, it'll help all Americans. The one thing that I didn't like too much about the political party was the fact that they didn't seem to have too much promotion. When doing more research into this political party, you'll find that they seem to be like a good middle ground for people who just want to make sure that the politics are good, working for them. But they don't seem to have a lot of good advertising, a lot of good marketing strategies that help get their message out there. When it comes to what could the party do to better their chance of winning, I had the same idea there, where they need to make sure that they get their message out, because most people, if they were to understand the position of the modern Whig party, they would probably tend to vote toward them a lot more. And then my impression on their campaign literature, their slogans, their ads, just a couple of them are courage, common sense, and country, we will always serve, and a party for all of us. All of these things do a great job in showing how they are middle ground. That's like the general theme that you get when you look at the modern Whig party, that they're trying their best as individuals, not being labeled as politicians necessarily, but just as Americans who are doing their best to serve the country that they live in. Now, for the closing comments, I know now there are a lot of different people who tend to lean toward one way or the other, but the modern Whig party is one that just overall is just always there to make sure that everyone gets their say and that solutions are being made. And they have a good tradition of they have a good blend of mixing old traditions of what America was and what made it so amazing back then, but then not staying stuck to tradition, but mixing it with new ideas to help the country move forward. And these are a small summary of my sources, and that is my